And joining me in the studio with more on how 2013 is shaping up for startups is Anand Sanwal. He's the CEO and co-founder of CB Insights, a data and service provider which helps private companies, their investors, acquirers, and the industries they participate in. Anand, thanks for joining us. One of the challenges I understand is for companies to get second round financing. Why is this happening?
So there was an oversupply of companies that received seed funding. And so now those companies, as they go out for their next round of funding, are facing a challenge. There's basically a excess demand for a finite amount of capital. Venture capital as an asset class has been shrinking for some time. So you have more companies vying for a limited pool of funding. As a result, there's going to be a fair number of companies that either will be orphaned and can't raise money, or that will need to figure out how to become profitable on a very modest amount of investment.
So what happened to those startups? They just wither away and die?
Yeah, some will atrophy away and die. Some will figure out how to become sustainable businesses. Maybe they're not going to be the next LinkedIn, but they will become profitable, solid businesses. And some of those people will go on to join other startups.
With all these startups vying for capital and with venture capital funds not having seen such high returns lately, what does this mean for the prospects of more capital being injected?
Yeah, I mean, the VC asset class is undergoing, for quite a while, has been undergoing some issues, right? The returns haven't been good. So what we're seeing is different types of investors are being formed, right? So angel investors are helping to fill that gap. There's different types of seed investment structures that are coming in. But yeah, it is a problem. VCs need to kind of reinvent themselves to figure out how to return money to their limited partners, their investors.
Which sectors or industries are attracting most of the seed money these days?
Yeah, so seed money, and I think in general, it will be enterprise is probably the hottest space.
What do you mean by enterprise?
Enterprise will be primarily software and hardware focused on large corporations, right? So B2B, business to business.
So still in the technology space?
Yeah, in the technology space. Technology is definitely the big winner for VC still. But we're seeing a shift away from the social media, consumer-oriented plays to more business-to-business plays. That's driven by the underperformance of the IPOs of the likes of Zynga, Groupon, Facebook. And then on the flip side, you have LinkedIn, Splunk, Workday, which have all done some, LinkedIn has done phenomenal. Right. And the other enterprise companies have done well as well.
Well, you mentioned those IPOs of the social media companies, some that haven't done so well, some that have excelled.
Yeah.
What's in store for the IPO pipeline for 2013? Any startups that you think we're going to see going public?
I mean, I think the most chatter out there is about Twitter, right? But I think Twitter is probably going to be cautious given what happened with Facebook. They need to nail the business model. They need to show that growth that Facebook hasn't displayed. So I think Twitter's probably the biggest one. We've tracked over 470 companies that have a $100 million plus valuation. So there's a healthy pipeline, but whether there's receptivity in the IPO markets for some of those companies is to be determined.
Well, thank you for that insight. Anand Sanwal, CEO and co-founder of CB Insights.